Welcome to the Trader, a Traitors podcast. My name's Matthew. I'm a writer working in TV development, and I am a handy faithful. The Trader features deep dives into every episode of the multi-award winning hit TV competition series, The Traitors, as well as interviews with contestants from the shows. This season of the podcast is dedicated to the Traitors Australia Season 2, and today I'll be exploring Episode 3 with a brand new guest co-host. In fact, I'm so excited to introduce him that I am going to skip the TT news for this episode and jump straight ahead. Let's meet him. I am joined today by Mikolai Machkowiak. Mikolai is a journalism student who loves traveling, which you can see on his lovely Instagram page. And Mikolai is preparing to launch his own podcast, Spilling Reality, which will cover various reality TV shows like Survivor, The Amazing Race, and The Challenge. Of course, this means that Mikolai is also a big fan of The Traitors. Mikolai, welcome to the Trader. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I just got back from my time in Poland with my family yesterday, got back to work, and then I started packing for uni today. So it's been a crazy, hectic couple of days.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm very flattered that you have taken the time to join me on the Trader. So that's just absolutely wonderful. Could you tell me a little bit about we've spoken online, but tell me about how you discovered The Traitors. Like, when did you first watch it, and which versions of The Traitors have you seen?
Okay, so funny story. I actually discovered it because I was looking for reality TV shows to apply, and this was during season 1. So I filled out the whole application form, but then I never pressed submit because I thought I'd be too nervous and shy. And then when I
Oh,
saw it come on and then when I watched the first UK season on TV, I really regretted not pressing submit. So that's how I discovered it, and then I've loved it since. So I've watched the UK one, the US one, and I've not had a chance to watch season 1 of the Australian one, but I've watched season 2 so far.
okay. And that I didn't realize that. So I'm going to try not to spoil anything from Australia season 1 for you. I'll do my best. I think I'll be okay. But you
Well,
could.
I watched episode 1 a while ago, but then I had to stop, and then I couldn't get back into it because of uni and stuff. But definitely gonna try binge it soon.
Okay. And you should definitely apply to a future series of The Traitors. You must take the opportunity and go with it.
I tried again for season 2, but didn't work out. But we'll try again next year.
You have to try every season until it happens. That's what you've got to do. Are you enjoying the season so far then? You have obviously watched episodes 1 and 2. How do you think it's going?
Yeah, so I started it towards the end of my holiday in Poland, and I was really into it. Like my mum would try to make us do activities. I was like, no, I'm gonna stay in and binge it.
Quite right. Now, before we move on and talk about episode 3, we are going to play our game on the podcast, The Trader Traitor. So for anyone listening who isn't sure how the game works, I'm going to explain it. Our goal, Mikolai, from here on in, is to tell one lie to one another, one hopefully undetected lie. The lie can be big or small. It can be about the traitors. It can be about yourself or anything else, as long as it is a complete fabrication. We are looking for fake facts, though, not fake opinions. For example, you could lie to me and tell me that you used to have a blonde perm like Ash, which maybe is false. Maybe it's true. I don't know. However, you can't tell me that you think or feel that you don't like Ash's hair, which would be a fake opinion and also very mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, are you ready to play the Trader Traitor and betray me?
Yeah, hopefully.
In that case, our game of the Trader Traitor begins now. And I think we are ready to go ahead and talk about episode 3 of the Traitors Australia Season 2. we start off, as we always start off, with a little recap of the previous episode. So we're reminded of a few key things from episode 2. We had the silver mission disaster in the boats when one of the boats literally sank. We saw Sam's attempted coup of Ash. He was trying to convince people to vote for her, but it ended up not really working out. In the banishment room, Gaitan was kind of framed in a way, and there was a landslide banishment. Poor Gaitan, off he went, telling us that he was a faithful and that everyone was a dum-dum. And we ended episode 2 with the traitors choosing between either Payton or Paul or Camille. So today we begin at breakfast. Ash arrives first. She's very excited about Gaitan's banishment yesterday, but she also said inside of her head is like a frog in a sock. This is the second time someone on this show has used that expression because in episode 1, my co-host Lindsay and I talked about this phrase. I don't think I've heard this phrase before. Have you heard this phrase, a frog in a sock?
Neither. I literally don't even know what it means, but I must say I love the one-liners from the contestants. Like their confessionals are so good.
Yes, there are some absolutely brilliant people in this season for some good one-liners. I think I need a new segment on the podcast just called Frog Watch, and it's just to alert that anytime someone uses this term, like a frog in a sock, maybe it's just me, maybe it's an Australian thing, maybe it's a thing, and I just don't know it. Ash
Yeah. So what does it actually mean? The saying.
It just means that you're like panicked and anxious and really fraught. Like I guess if you put a frog in a sock, it would be like jumping about and it couldn't escape. I think that's just all it means. It means very agitated. There we go.
I might have to start using that from now on then.
Ash is also very curious as to why Gaitan voted for her. So at the banishment room, he had her name written down, and she wants to know what's behind this. Who has been throwing her name around? Luke arrives next, and Ash immediately confronts him. She's saying, "Why did people at the banishment say my name? Why did Gaitan say that Luke had mentioned you, or had mentioned me?" And then Luke just drops Sam in it. Luke just tells her, "Well, it was Sam, if you must know." So Ash is absolutely furious.
I think that was really ballsy of him just to drop it like that. But I did watch his Australian Survivor seasons, and he was like very iconic with his gameplay, like making these big moves.
Yeah, of course. I'm assuming you've watched Australian Survivor because you're a reality TV person, so you'll be really familiar with Luke.
Them all.
Okay. See, I haven't watched Survivor.
No, he did really well. He made it towards the end of the seasons in both of them that he did.
Okay. So you know a lot more about Luke than me, so maybe this makes sense for Luke. But these are the moments in the Traitors that I live for. People just like revealing secrets and people finding out who's been talking about them. It's fantastic. Next at breakfast, Roha and Helen arrive. Roha is in pink, as are several of the other people at the table. We get a little interview with Roha. He says that his pink outfit is giving on Wednesdays we wear pink. This is the first of more than one Mean Girls quote from Roha this episode. And then we get a little bit of his backstory. He says that he works in luxury retail. And he says, if you're wearing flip-flops and jandals, it's a red flag. I don't know about you, Michael. Do you know what a jandal is?
No, literally no idea. It must be an Australian thing.
I have done my research. I have looked up what a jandal is. So I'm going to tell you. I found quite a lot about jandals online, actually. I found an article on alohashoes.com, and the title of the article is Jandals, What Are They? And it tells us. It's a contraction of sandal, and what exactly? Some will claim that jandals are Jesus sandals. Others claim they're the less holy jail sandals, while a third group argues that jandals is a contraction of Japanese and sandals. Is it one? All three? It's time to settle the debate once and for all. I kind of then did read the whole rest of the article. It doesn't settle the debate once and for all. But anyway, jandal is apparently it's from New Zealand. It's some sort of New Zealand term for sandals of some sort. So there we go. Roha hates jandals. And I feel like now I'm going to start using that.
Literally, I love that we got to see a bit more of his personality because I feel like that it only focused so much on like we see a lot of Ash and other certain people, whereas other characters like don't get a good enough edit to like learn from them.
Yeah, yeah. It was nice to find out a little bit more about him in this episode, so I like that too. So, Roha's at breakfast. He says that he doesn't trust Paul, which is quite surprising to me. I thought that everybody just universally really liked Paul, but Roha mentions he's not sure about him. Annabelle arrives. She's annoyed that she's not in pink, like Roha and Helen and Ash. Then Sam arrives, and there's just this great tension between Ash and Sam. Not that Sam realizes it, because Sam is talking in his interview and he says, luckily, no one's really onto me. Ash doesn't know what's happening. How little he knows. And he still thinks that he's going to take her head off. It's like quite brutal language that he's using.
No, their rivalry really added something to these last two episodes.
It is. I'm enjoying it so much, the rising tension between these two. Luke reveals he has an interview to the camera, and he says that he thinks Ash is a traitor, which I'm quite surprised at, because he says that's why he told her about Sam. He said, I actually do think she's a traitor, and he thinks that Sam's right, but he told Ash that it was Sam dropping her name in it because he wants to earn her trust. And I'm like, how does he know? How does he? Because he's right. We know that he's right. But I don't know how he knows that Ash is a traitor or why he suspects that. Why do you think?
Yeah,
And Sarah in the very first episode immediately thought Ash was a traitor too. Have you got any ideas why people think that so early?
I I think it's because she comes from a reality TV background. So maybe these people have watched her on the show and have seen like how she maybe acts differently or something. I don't know because I haven't watched her shows. But when I watched the US one, a lot of the people already had like preconceived ideas of these reality TV stars and they could have figured it out easier than others.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That's a very good point. And I'm the same as you. I haven't seen Ash on any shows, so I don't know what she's normally like. But yeah, maybe they're seeing her behave differently than she normally might on TV. So that's a good thought. Um, we see everybody arrive one by one, and the last three left, unsurprisingly, are Camille, Paul, and Payton. And I'm saying unsurprisingly because those are the three names that the traitors seem to be talking about in Traitors Tower at the end of the last episode. Sarah
Yeah, I
says,
really,
yep, on you go.
I really thought they'd stop doing that when like the last people to walk in are the ones that were like kind of the traitors fought about murdering. Because like if you're a super fan, you would know that that kind of happens when you're watching it. So I'm surprised Annabelle or someone hasn't picked up on that.
Yeah, I spoke about this exact same thing in the last episode of the podcast. I spoke about it at length actually because I'm really obsessed with it. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't changed this. And you're right. I because we know Annabelle's a super fan and she loves the traitors. I think she'll figure that out. But I also
Because
think, yeah,
because that's one of the first things I've picked up on. Is like, wow, they're doing it again. Like they're just going to make it obvious.
yeah. And I think that if Annabelle notices that, she's also probably smart enough not to tell anyone. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's realized the last couple of people who walk in are faithful, but she'll just keep that to herself to give herself a bit of an
Yep.
advantage. That's my
I
thinking.
wonder if she's Yeah, I wonder if she's revealed to like the cast that she's a super fan or if she's just keeping that, like not to say as a target, because I feel like that'd make her a target if she told them.
Yeah, because she's only spoken about it in her interviews to camera. So I don't know if she has told everybody else. It'd be very interesting to see if it comes up in future episodes. Unless she is gone by the end of this episode. Not that I'm spoiling anything. Who knows how long she's going to be around.
Yeah.
So Sarah at breakfast, when she's waiting for the last three people, she says that she's got a gut feeling that Camille is a traitor. I'm not really sure why. She says it's just a gut feeling. We know that she's wrong. And then Paul arrives. I'm very shocked because I thought Paul would be the one to get murdered at the end of episode 2 of the podcast. I placed my bet on Paul. I said I thought Paul was going to go. I was wrong. And then next, Camille arrives. So we realize that Hayden has been murdered, and everyone seems a bit shocked. What did you think about that? Were you surprised it was Hayden? Not particularly surprised?
I definitely saw it come in because if everyone thinks you're a faithful, it's a good motive for the traitors to kill you. You're not going to get banished.
Yeah.
But I did actually think it could have been Paul. So I think if it wasn't Paul this episode, it might be him in the upcoming episodes getting murdered.
Yeah, I can see that too. I'm just so surprised that everyone is so trusting of Payton after episode one when he was in this really weird situation with rumors and people mishearing something he'd said and him really having to defend himself. It's fascinating how quickly that has all been forgotten. So
Yeah.
Roger arrives. Roger's back, very casual again. And he does his usual where he makes a little joke. He says, "We all wake up to the tragic news that we have one less dirt bike graphic designer in the world." I didn't know the hotel had a library in it because the library is open. What a read from Roger, just reading the murdered people to filth. He gives them a bit of a clue about the mission, as he always does. He says that mourning will continue all day. And then Sarah has this kind of like malfunction where she picks up on that and she's like, "Morning, cemetery, cemetery, morning, 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 cemetery, morning." She just keeps going on. It's like, okay, I think we got it, Sarah. And she's right.
Yeah, it was a funny segment from her to add into the episode.
Yeah, some dirty editing on poor Sarah there. So we move on. We're in the cars, and the focus is on Ash. In Ash's car, she's talking to the others, and she says, "I have a random little thought." And she mentions that she thinks Sam might be a traitor, but she's kind of acting like she's sitting right beside Luke, and she's acting like, "Guys, you're not going to believe this. Like, hear me out. I think Sam might be a traitor. I know you're going to be shocked." But I'm like, well, it's not that surprising that you're saying Sam because there was clearly like you just spoke to Luke at breakfast and Luke said, "Oh yeah, it was Sam that said you were a traitor." So she's acting like people are going to be like, "What? You're mentioning Sam?" I can't, but it's not that surprising.
Yeah, like it was bound to happen that she would mention him. Like it's either her or him going.
I
So.
know. So we arrive at the mission fairly quickly, and it's in a church. And we've seen this mission in the UK and the US Traitors. They've also used it in New Zealand Traitors. I just watched episode 2 of that, and they've got this similar task where it's set in a church. You've got people with masks on. You're given the contestants are given clues by the host, and they have to either follow a riddle or solve some sort of cryptic clue and find one of the people in the church who's holding an object or a key or a bar of silver or whatever it is. In this case, it's keys. Whilst as they arrive, there's this really weird thing where this character appears, like Daniel the tailor, just appears from nowhere
Yeah.
and starts measuring them. Like
I was so confused when that happened. I was like, what is going on?
I thought
And
it
then it
was
wasn't even addressed later on.
yeah, I thought it was a magician. At first, when he took the measuring tape out, I was like, "Oh, it's an illusionist. It's someone's going to do tricks." But no, he was just a character playing a tailor. It reminded me of Fergus from like the US Traitors. Remember they had this like caretaker
Yeah.
Scottish character who
Yeah.
would just roam around and not speak. And yeah, so I thought, are they trying to incorporate that kind of thing? It was so strange.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, it was
this is a
definitely.
spoiler, Michael, but season 1 of Traitors Australia, Daniel is not there. Daniel is not a thing. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was definitely an unnecessary thing to add, like just before the challenge.
so strange. So the mission begins, and someone has to get in one of the coffins at the front of the church. Right. I promised in episode 1 I wasn't going to criticize every mission. Right. I'm going to try and hold back. I just don't get it. I don't understand the logic of like one of you's going to get in a coffin and then we're going to lock you in it right in front of everyone. and then everyone's going to find keys to unlock you and get you back out again. I just think it's weird that they get in front of everyone, and it's just, I don't know. I actually thought at first they would, the coffins were there with locks on them. I thought the mission would be find the locks, open it, and you're going to find something inside. Either like I thought
Yeah.
maybe one of the banished contestants was going to be inside, or one of the murdered, but like Angelica returns from episode one or something. But yeah, they didn't do that. So
Yeah, that the challenge is actually something I wanted to ask you about because I read a lot about it on Twitter and people like a lot of them say they're pointless. Like, what's your take on them? What do you think about them?
I, again, I've made a vow this season to not be so critical and to be a bit more positive and understanding of the fact that a whole production crew had to set up these challenges and they had to take time over them and put in lots of effort and skill. So I don't want to completely tear them down. However, they are the most uninteresting part of the episodes for me. So I understand why they're there because I think, well, I think the whole episode can't just be people in a house talking. Like they need something
Yeah,
else that's different. So the purpose of the task, I think, is to like build up the prize fund, but also create a bit of camaraderie between them and make them feel like they're a team. Because I think that psychologically that then makes them closer to one another, which then amplifies
yeah, for
how
sure.
tense the banishment room becomes because they've all become really good friends and they think that they've been working as a team. So I get and it's an opportunity for what the winning team to win a shield from the armory now. So I understand why the missions are there. I just don't really care about them. What do you think about the missions?
Yeah, I'm exactly like that. Like I'm not bothered. Like if I could, I'd probably skip them. But I guess you do find out more about the dynamics and like the friendships and stuff. But I wish there was just more of like an excitement or like a purpose to them. Like maybe if they had like four shields on offer, or I don't know, something just to spice it up a bit. Like, and I don't like how they're like reusing the same challenges across all the seasons, like the international ones. I'm starting to get a bit bored of them.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen this mission. This is literally the fourth time I've seen this mission across different versions. So it would be nice if it was something a little bit different.
I just saw the Polish TV announce that they're having a Traitors Poland. So I'm
Ah,
hoping that that spices up. I don't know, they do some different challenges. And actually, someone in my hometown like, that lives on my street got casted for the show. So I'm excited to find out all the gossip from them.
yes, you must tell me all about it. Um, I kind of think I would it would become a different show. I guess this would be stealing from other TV shows like The Mole, but I think I would like the missions more if the traitors had to like actively sabotage them. If there was a
Yes,
mission, but then the traitors had a secret mission to do something, because
I
then it would be a bit more sneaky and
I love that about them all. I think that's a good thing that they've done it to like incorporate that in that show to like make them a bit more interesting.
yeah. It would also give everyone more. They always talk about evidence and the traitors, like, and they don't really have any evidence of anything ever. So I think if the traitors were actively doing something like sabotaging missions, the other players could. Then they're looking for something and they're trying to spot behaviors that people have. Uh, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think the lack of evidence, like in their arguments, frustrates me. It's like they'll say, "Yeah, I think Ash is a traitor," but they don't say anything to back it up, and it's just like word of mouth.
Yeah, yeah. And we see a lot of that coming up in this episode later as well. Uh, so we're in the church, we're in the coffin mission that I've complained a little bit about. Uh, I laughed so much at Sarah when she goes first for her team. She has to walk to the confessional where Roger's going to read a riddle. She says that she walks to the confessional in her Kath and Kim power walk. Have you ever watched Kath and Kim, Nikolai?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Do you know what Kath and Kim is?
No.
Okay. I realize this is not a visual podcast, but I'm gonna do something right now just for Nikolai. BRB. Nikolai, I am holding up some DVDs, and Nikolai can confirm that I'm not lying. This is Kath and Kim. I have all of Kath and
Oh,
Kim. This is a DVD. This shows you how old I am. Kath and Kim is an Australian sitcom all about a mother and daughter character called Kath and Kim. It's very deliberately cheesy and over the top and camp and manic and very funny comedy characters. So that's what Kath and Kim is.
oh, it
So
seems like something that's my cup of tea, so I might definitely have to watch it. I'll put it on my to watch list.
definitely, it's funny because it's probably 15 years old now. I wonder if it would feel really dated. If someone watched it now, they would be like, what is this? This is so strange, but it's very sort of niche, but I love it. Anyway, back to the traitors. So Sarah is walking like she's doing a Kath and Kim power walk. She struggles to remember the riddle that Roger gives her. She sort of immediately forgets it. They find the objects. They blah blah blah. They do a mission. They find things. They win some money. I don't know what else to say about it. Something I did notice was when it's Ash's turn to be like the finder, she walks. She figures out that the answer to one of the riddles is an anchor, and she finds someone who's got like a little anchor on their ring, I think, and she just goes, "Have you got the key?" Like really, really assertively, like so unnecessarily assertively. I think Ash probably says everything really assertively. Like I think just like meeting Ash in the street, she'd be like, "Hello, how are you?" Like in a coffee shop, she'd just be like, "Can I have tea?" So I think that's probably quite normal for her.
And I think that makes a good casting decision for the show. Like it just, like I'm laughing every time I see her.
I'm also laughing at Roha and Annabelle in this mission. So I don't really care about the mission itself, but I do love all of, like you said earlier, all of their little punchlines and gags. The
Yeah.
like Roha wins one of the objects, and he's like struts back down the aisle. In a very flamboyant fashion. Annabelle has some great lines while she's lying in the coffin. She says that Mama needs her shield. She's wondering if her angle is flattering. She even says at the end, she's like, I really didn't need to put a sports bra on for this, which made me laugh an awful lot.
No, I love Annabelle. Like when I see her, she's the type of like player I want to be when I go on one of these shows.
Yeah, I think she would make it a lot of fun because it must be such a tense situation to be in, so stressful. So Annabelle delivering these little lines, that would be nice to be around, I think.
And her outfits are on point as well. I love them. It's so extra, but so good.
So at the end of the mission, the blue team wins. And do you notice like Sarah leaps towards the coffin as if Annabelle is literally buried alive and is dying. Like she like launches over to like desperately unlock it. It's like Annabelle's been in there for 20 minutes. Like I think she'll be fine for another 5 seconds. It's okay. At the end of it, then, Roger tells them they've won $16,000, which means that the total prize fund at this point is $72,000, and that the blue team will go to the pointless, in my opinion, armory. And off they go. So the next scene is the armory. It's you know what? It's kind of a shame now to get into the armory. They just like you just see them prizing the door open with their bare hands. Like first episode, we got a
Yeah.
magical Roger pulling the book on the shelf and he does the key on the piano. None of that now. Roger's like, I'm not doing that every time. So now they just have to pull the door open themselves. Whilst we see them all go into the armory and try and find the shield, Ash's voiceover is sort of overlaying the scene. She's still talking about Sam. She's freaking out. She wants to get to the bottom of it. She says she can't stop thinking about it. And it's Liam who gets the shield. And they've obviously now just agreed amongst themselves, we'll just do what we did that first episode. Whoever gets the shield, don't tell anyone you've got it. We'll all agree to just keep it one big secret. Because Liam gets the shield, he's really excited, but walks out of the armory with like a completely straight face and he's not reacting.
Yeah.
So they've obviously just agreed that's what they're going to do now. and I spoke about it so much in the last episode, right? So I'm not going to do it again. I just want it to be known that I really hate this. What do you think about the Shield, Mikolai, and what they do with the Shield?
I initially thought it was a good concept, but now that they've just come up with this strategy, I'm not here for it. Like, it's just too repetitive. Like, I wish there was a way you could like mix it up. Like, I don't know what I'd like instead, but because now they're just gonna keep doing this every season, like the same strategy with it.
Yeah. And the thing that also annoys me about it is, and I said I wasn't going to go on about it, but here I go. It's not just that they've got this strategy that makes the shield a little bit pointless. It's it's the fact that the program itself, like the episode, then just never mentions it again. So Liam has got the shield, and it's never mentioned again in the rest of the episode. Like when they get to we get to Traitors Tower at the end, and the traitors are talking about who they want to murder next. There's no mention of them saying, "Oh, we need to keep in mind that somebody's got a shield." They just don't talk about it. So it just makes me think, why bother doing the shield if it's never referenced again the whole rest of the episode? It just feels so
Yeah.
throwaway now. I'll stop
Yeah,
talking.
that is so true. No, but I agree with that. I think it's so true. Like, if they are going to do it, they should acknowledge it more. But actually, thinking about it now, because I watched Survivor, I feel like a cool twist for like the Shield would be like the winning team maybe does like an individual challenge, and then the person who like succeeds in that gets the Shield. Like, everyone knows about it, but it adds that like competitive element, and it like give more clues to like who the faithfuls are, because obviously they're really going to want to win this.
Yeah, well, Mikolai, you're going to love Australia season one because that is exactly what they do in season one of the Traitors Australia. So this is, and again, I'm not going to do any spoilers in case anyone's not seen it. But I don't think that's a spoiler to say that. That's how the Shield operates in season one of Traitors Australia. They actually they do their silver mission as always, and they win some silver bars and they add to the prize fund. But then they do a second, completely separate mission that's just to win the Shield. So whoever wins it in front of everybody, and they all see who's won it, which I like so
Okay.
much more. And the difference in season one is, which they've changed now, and I don't like it. In season one of Traitors Australia, the shield protected you from murder and from being banished, so people couldn't vote for you at the round table either. And that played
Oh,
out really
see,
interestingly.
that is so good. Okay, now I'm definitely, after we finish recording this, I'm going to start watching season one then.
Yes, hooray! I've succeeded. You're gonna love it. It's amazing. Anyway, after the pointless armory, we see some discussions around the hotel, and the whole discussions are basically Sam versus Ash. They are literally each of those two is literally talking to different groups about one another at the same time. Like we have a shot where, like in the foreground, we've got Ash talking to some people, and in the background, there's Sam talking to some other people, and they're both talking about one another. Um, Sarah says that she's hearing Ash's name and she's hearing Hannah's name. Uh, and Sam just says to her, no, Ash is gone. Sorry, he says, no, Hannah's gone. He's like, no, we're not doing Hannah. Like he's just decided, no, that's not happening. It makes it really clear to me they are working as like a herd. Like they're just working as a collective.
Yeah.
No one seems to want to just vote according to their own personal thoughts. It's really, really tactical. And it seems to just they're all going to vote based on a group consensus. They just
Yeah.
seem to have agreed on that. It's really tricky. So Ash clearly knows what Sam is doing. Like she's in an interview, she's saying she knows that he's going around and talking about her, but she says this will be his undoing. And she tells some of the others, look, Sam lied right to my face. She says, I asked him the other day, did you mention me and say that I could be a traitor? And he said no. Uh, Ash, Roha, and Helen, they seem to be a little group. I've noticed they were in another episode, all sort of sitting outside together. So it seems like have become friends. They get on well. They're spending a lot of time with one another. So Helen goes off on Ash's bidding. Like she sort of is like, a member of Ash's crew, and she's like, right, I'm going to go out and see what I can do. So she starts going around seeing if she can convince people to vote for Sam. The Sam versus Ash battle continues. I noticed that Sarah has completely switched away from Ash now. In episode one of the
Yeah.
first things she said was that she thought Ash was a traitor. But now she seems to have changed her mind, and I'm not really sure why.
I think because she was so much on the radar in episode one, I think she needs to like lay low for a few more days and then like pop off again.
Yeah, maybe it's part of her strategy that she's just like, I'm not gonna say anything bad about anyone. I'm just gonna keep to myself. Yeah, it could just be strategy.
Because I know this isn't about episode one, but I really did think she was going to go home episode one. So I'm surprised to see her still in.
I know. It was so close at that point. She was getting all these votes, and now no one seems to be talking about her. So maybe she's right not to put her head above the parapet. Um, Annabelle's talking to Sam and a few others, and she's in her interview saying that she's just sick of whatever is going on. She really is getting stressed out about it. She doesn't understand. And Sam starts getting really aggressive. He's talking to Annabelle. He's
Yeah.
trying to get her to vote for Ash. He starts swearing, and she's not. Annabelle's not having it by the looks of it. But I found it a bit uncomfortable actually. Sam is getting really domineering, and Luke even says, "Look, if you're pushing too hard, you're a traitor." So even Luke seems to think that Sam needs to calm down. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I thought he was almost like rude when he was set. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't have it. And it literally painted the target on him. Like, that's exactly what a trick. Like, he was just pushing it way too hard, way too much.
Yeah, yeah. Annabelle and Luke then have a secret team up of their own. So they go off to a little room, and they definitely know that something weird is happening. They're like, why are Sam and Ash at each other? Something is not right. And Annabelle says, look, if we all vote for Ash and she is banished and she is a traitor, that just makes me think Sam is a traitor too. And this is exactly what I said in the last episode when Sam tried to get Ash out. So Annabelle's definitely, she's on the right track. We know that she's very clever. So she knows something is very not right here at all. We then move into the banishment.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. On you go.
Yeah, and definitely with everything that they're saying, like if Annabelle's watched the show, she would have seen like Alyssa and Wilf go at it. Like it's almost like a similar situation to what's happened before. She could have easily clocked onto that and be like, yeah, this is happening here again.
Yeah, the fact that she has seen other versions is definitely an advantage for her, I feel. So we move.
Oh, I was also gonna. Oh, no, it's okay. I was also going to ask because she said she's watched all the Traitors podcasts. Do you think she's listened to yours as well?
She has 100% listened to this podcast. Yes, I've spoken. Actually, I spoke to Annabelle online, and Annabelle was following the podcast before she was on the show, before any trailers or promo had been released. So I spoke a little bit to Annabelle on Instagram, not realizing that she was then going to be a contestant in the next season.
Oh,
So that was really exciting. So hopefully Annabelle will come on the podcast for an interview at some point. So fingers crossed that we can make that happen. So we move on to the banishment room. And it's Roger winds them up as usual. He starts off by saying, are you happy with the course you're on? He's reminding them that so far they've gotten rid of Too Faithful. And as soon as Roger finishes speaking, Ash jumps right in. She says, I'd like to start if I may. So it's going to be a tense one already. We can feel that this is going to be quite a hectic banishment room. She tells everyone, look, when I'm speaking, don't look at me, look at the person I'm speaking to and look at the reactions. And she turns right on Sam. And she says, you've been talking about me. It makes me think you're a traitor. And she just asks him, Sam, are you a traitor? And of course, he swears blind. He says, I swear to God, I'm a faithful, 100%. I'm not lying. I think he lies pretty well, but like Ash says, well, yeah, a traitor would say that. And that's the thing in this game. There's not really much point in asking people, tell us you're faithful, tell us you're not a traitor, because you know everyone's gonna. I don't think a traitor is, unless they're a really bad actor or they're incredibly anxious, they're probably not going to crumble and just say, okay, you got me. Yes, I am a traitor. Everyone's
Yeah.
going to do their best to lie.
So if I went on the show, I would definitely crumble. Like, I'm a bad liar. I would literally be like, "Yeah, I'm a traitor. Just banish me." And I'd start crying and leave.
Well, then maybe they wouldn't choose you as a traitor. Maybe they would see that in you and be like, Mikolai needs to be faithful. He can't handle it.
Yeah, definitely.
um,
No, but the whole interaction around like the round table was giving, like it was heated, it was everything I wanted it to be and more. Like when she told him to shut up, I was so gagged. I was like, no way she did that.
I know. Yeah. Um, yeah, the Sam just keeps interrupting. She just tells him to shut up. But then Sam uses that to his advantage and he's like, oh well, there's the true Ash coming out. Um, And Ash brings up the fact that he had lied to her face. She says, I asked you if you had put my name out there and you said you hadn't, so you're a liar. And she says, Luke and Hannah told me that you have been mentioning my name. And then Sam adds in this whole extra thing that I still think he was lying. He says, does Hannah know you're trying to do a blindside on her? And Hannah's like, what? What? It's just so confusing. I'm like, is Sam just completely making this up or what? I just realized, I think I was calling Hannah Helen earlier. Were you like, who's
Yeah,
Helen?
you did.
I'm sorry.
I was
I'm
about
sorry,
to say it, but
Hannah.
then no, I thought it was my bad. I was like, oh, did I just not remember a contestant's name? But I was like, let me just not embarrass myself and be like, who's Helen?
I could just pretend that Helen is another contestant. No, sorry, everyone listening. There's no such person called Helen in the show. I just invented a new character. I meant Hannah, and I'm only now realizing, oh, she's called Hannah, not Helen. I'm so sorry about that. So yeah, Sam's saying that, and now he's saying, oh, Ash, you're trying to blindside Hannah, you're trying to get people to vote for Hannah. But actually, it was Sam who was trying to do that, right? He was saying to people, well, it's either going to be Ash or Hannah, and that's who we have to vote for.
Yeah, I don't know. I found that whole situation, like Hannah said, very confusing. Like I didn't know what was going on and who said what.
Yeah, it gets so messy and so juicy. And like you said, I love, as a viewer, I'm absolutely loving it. But I can imagine if I was there in person as a contestant, this would be so uncomfortable. It would just be incredibly intense. I wouldn't know where to look. I would just want it to end. It must be so uncomfortable,
Definitely.
but amazing for
Even when
us.
I think his name, even when I think his name's Rojo, and he was like, roll the tapes. I was like, what? What is going on?
He did. He was like, "Yep, they've got it on tape." In fact, he steps in next. Roja steps in, and he tries to turn it back on Sam, and he lands him right in it. And he's like, "No, no, no, Sam, you were the one who was plotting against Hannah. I heard you. You're lying right now." So everyone is so mixed up and confused. Um, Gloria actually speaks up, and we've not really seen much of Gloria, but she speaks a bit of sense, and she says, I feel like actually now I shouldn't be telling anyone who I'm going to vote for because this is what ends up happening. It's chaos. And she says, from now on, I'm just going to vote with my gut. And Paul agrees with that. He says, yeah, I'm just going to play my own game. I'm not doing this. So you kind of get the impression that maybe all the plans are just out the window. All these plans that Sam and Ash have tried to set up, maybe everyone is just going to abandon it now because this has been such a messy
Yeah.
discussion.
If I was in that situation, after everything they said, I'd be so confused who to vote for. I'd probably end up giving someone a random burn vote and be like, yep, I'm just voted for you because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, as I was watching it, we're obviously seeing things from a very different perspective, and we are very biased because we know who the traitors are. I feel like I would have found Sam the most suspicious there. I feel like I would have voted for him over Ash. I just felt like she I actually thought she defended herself better. I thought she came across,
Yeah,
obviously they're both lying, but I thought she seemed the most kind of like she was very honestly defending herself, whereas Sam was was like revealing that he was lying about certain things based on what other people were
yeah,
jumping in and saying. So
yeah. He was more messy than she was, like in regards to everything.
yeah, I thought so. So the voting starts, and we begin with Roja, and we move around the table. We reach a point where Sam has 2 votes, Camille has 1, Ash has 4, Sarah has a vote from Hannah, which is really strange, I thought. Ian has 1 vote, which seems to come from nowhere because Ian hasn't really featured. He's been very much in the background in the edit, as has
Yeah,
Keith.
when they voted for Ian and Keith, I was confused as to who they were. I was like, I do not know who this person is.
Yeah, it's really there's obviously some reason someone has voted for them, but we just the focus has been so much on Sam and Ash this episode. We have really not had much time to get any insight into anyone else. So Ian and Keith get a vote each. And then we reach Blake. So this could be a really important turning point because Blake is also a traitor. So we want to know, is he going to vote for one of his fellow traitors? Is he going to vote for someone else entirely? And he reveals his vote, and he has sided with Sam. He has also voted for Ash. He's turned on her. And the votes continue. And by the time we get to the end of the table, Sam has 2 votes, Camille has 1, Sarah has 1, Ian has 1, Keith has 1, and Ash ends up with 8 votes. I was really surprised. I thought it would be much more evenly split between Sam and Ash. So I
Yeah,
was
I did.
shocked. Were you?
Yeah, I did too. Maybe because I'm biased and I like Ash so much, I really thought the votes were going to go for Sam and not for her.
Yeah. I I was really surprised when just slate after slate it was turned over and it was Ash, Ash, Ash. I didn't see it going that way. Sam is obviously delighted. We get a shot of him with a big smile on his face. I can't believe he's pulled this off. So we know, right? She's banished. She's about to get up and reveal her status. I truly didn't think this was going to happen. I thought Sam had really created trouble for himself, and he was going to either be out himself or just that his plan wasn't going to work, and people weren't really going to vote for Ash. So I was
Yeah, because
so surprised.
he already tried it last episode with this plan. It didn't work once, but I guess he had to try again, and it did this time. But
Yeah,
I really didn't see it coming.
yeah. Also, before we talk about the reveal, what's with all the white pens not working properly? Like, did you notice that they were like all leaking and stuff? Like, I think Sam's and Luke's had just had big white splodges on their slate. Someone's getting fired.
No, literally. But I wonder what it would add to the game. Say if the voting was like secret. Would you think that would change anything? Like if it was like anonymous voting?
Yeah, oh yeah, I think it would definitely change things because people would be much. Yeah, I think it would actually be an entirely different game. I guess like Big Brother Big Brother in the UK works on a secret voting basis. Um, if in the traitors you could vote anonymously, you would be under such less pressure to vote with the group. You would definitely be freed up to be more honest about who you really thought were the traitors and not have to worry about being targeted by the traitors. The traitors themselves would probably turn on each other much easier without the fear
Yeah.
that it's not going to work and there's going to be heat on them. So yeah, I think it would be a completely different game if the voting worked that way, which could be
Yeah, I think
fascinating.
yeah, I think that's something they can definitely explore in like future seasons and see if that could work.
Yeah, even if I would love it if maybe just for one episode in a season, Roger or the host, whoever they are, announces in today's banishment, you're all going to vote in secret, and I'll reveal who's got the most votes. That just as a one-off, that would I think that would really throw things off. That would be really really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, like I think what they're missing is these like little twists like every few episodes. Because I watch Australian Survivor, and every few episodes, the host just comes up with these weird twists that we've never seen before. And it just adds some excitement to the viewers as opposed to being just like a repetitive format. I mean, it's still good because I love the show, but I do want to see them like head in slightly different directions, like explore new things. Like maybe if they did like a themed season,
Mhm.
like where people were like related or something, and like all go on the show together.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable that as it goes on, they will add in twists and changes and they'll introduce new rules and they'll do things differently in somewhere. Yeah, I think it'll reach the point they'll want to keep the viewers interested and so on. So we know that Ash is going to be banished. She stands up. She reveals the truth that she is a traitor. They go absolutely wild, of course. They're so excited. They're jumping around the room and they're screaming. To get a traitor at the third banishment, I think is pretty good. Although I would say I feel like they figured it out the wrong way, if there is a wrong way. I feel like they only got Ash out because of Sam. I don't think they figured anything out on their own. Like I don't think Ash did anything that was particularly suspicious. I think Sam was just really aggressive in his campaign against her. So it's strange to sort of reward them for that.
No, I 100% agree with that because they were also happy to get a traitor, but I don't think any of them actually put forward a case for Ash except Sam. So definitely, I don't know how they would like. They probably think they've done so well they can get one out again, but I feel like it's going to be hard for them.
Yeah, and I suppose I didn't even talk about that. That was Sam's justification. He said that he thought Ash was a traitor at the banishment room because her personality changed so much. He said when Ash arrived on the first day, she behaved one way, but after the selection of the traitors, then she became very different. And she also behaves differently during the challenges. But then when we come back to the hotel, she doesn't behave like that. So he was trying to pin it on that she changed her demeanor too much from situation to situation, and he thought that that meant she wasn't very genuine. And I guess they believed it. They went along with it.
I guess all it takes is like one comment that could be a lie or anything and just change people's heads, and they'll be like, "Yep, this is the way we're going to go." And that's all it took for them to vote Ash.
Yeah, it worked. And we see Ash in a little interview in the car as she leaves the house. She says that she can't believe her fellow traitors threw her under the bus because Sam and Blake both voted for her. And she thinks that Sam has damned himself, that he'll be his own undoing now. And I agree. I can't see this working out well for Sam in the long run. I haven't seen any further episodes, so I really don't know what's going to happen. I just think, like Annabelle and Luke earlier in the episode, they thought that there was something really fishy going on. I just think people will start to question Sam and think, why were you so confident about Ash? How did you do that? Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine him lasting all the way to the end of the season now. What do you think?
Yes, I stand by that 100%. Like what she said was the truth because, like you said, we saw Annabelle and Luke being sus of him already. Like everyone's just going to look towards him. Like I'll be surprised if he's not banished in like the next 3 episodes. Because you could see that he like he what he said in the confessional he wants all the money for himself. Like I feel like he's going to try and get Blake out as well. Like he's in it to win all of it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to mention because we go to Traitor's Tower and it's now, of course, it's only Sam and Blake who are left. And Sam is saying to Blake, "Oh, that was amazing. We can win this together. We can see this through to the end." And I think, how can Blake possibly trust him now? If I was Blake, I would be looking at Sam thinking, like, I can never believe anything you say to me now. If you did that to Ash so soon, you are going to do the same thing to me at some point. So that's also a mistake of Sam's, I think, that he's maybe not realized that he's made himself so untrustworthy to his fellow traitor, and that's not good.
Exactly. But I think the only thing that makes it better is that I think they were sitting outside and he did tell Blake that he was going to vote for Ash. So he gave him the heads up. So I guess that makes him seem a little bit more trustworthy and like showing to Blake that he does want to work with him.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point. So they started to talk about who they might murder tonight. They go through a couple of names. They talk about Paul again. They were considering him last episode. They mentioned Simone the wrestler. We haven't seen much of her at all since she won the Shield in the first two episodes, but she's really not
Yeah.
featured much.
And
They,
I'm a bit sad about that because I wish we get to see more of her because I think she looks so stunning. Like, oh, I just wish we can see some more like confessionals and just hear more from her.
yeah, I bet she must be a really fascinating character. She's got this really unusual career. She's lived in the States and Australia. She's moved back and forth. Like she's got a huge following online. I bet she's really, really interesting. Because she's a
There you go.
wrestler, she's probably, used to performing and being in front of an audience. So she probably would be really charismatic, I imagine.
And based on that, it makes me think that she is not going to get murdered in the next episode because I think she's got more of a story to tell.
Well, as it turns out, there might be no murder at all because whilst they're discussing her, Roger arrives and as soon as he walks in, I kind of predict what's about to happen. He tells them he is very surprised that they managed to kill one of their own so early. And then he tells them that they have options. He says, you can go ahead like before and murder someone tonight, or you could try to recruit or seduce a faithful and bring someone else into your team. He leaves them with that option, and episode 3 ends right there. What do you think, Mikolai? Do you think the two remaining traitors are going to go ahead and murder someone, or do you think they will try and recruit a new traitor tonight?
I think based on Sam's confessional, how he wants the money to himself, I do not think they're going to recruit. I think they're going to murder, unless Blake wants to recruit and could sway Sam, because obviously Sam just like persuaded him to banish Ash. So in return, Blake could be like, okay, well, I agreed to that, so maybe let's recruit someone. But I don't think they will. What about you?
I don't think they will either. I'm on the same page as you. I I think it's so. I mean, it was so early to get rid of a traitor anyway. I don't see them then immediately replacing her. Like, I think they would. If I was a traitor in their situation, I think I would be quite happy with just the two of us because it means there's now just a chance to get rid of a bunch more faithfuls from the game. Although I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, unless they do what we've seen in other seasons of the Traitors, where they deliberately recruit someone else to be a traitor who they already know they're going to turn on, so they sort of just use someone
Yeah.
as cannon fodder. Like they're like, let's recruit who's someone else that people are suspicious of. Oh, people are quite suspicious of Sarah. Let's recruit her, make her a traitor, and then just get everyone to vote her out because it'll be quite easy because they are already suspicious of her. And then we'll look amazing again because we got another traitor out. So they might just use somebody short term.
Yeah. I think if they were to recruit, that's exactly what they would do. I think it's a good strategy if they did that.
Yeah. I I was wrong in my last bet in the last episode when I bet that Paul would go and he didn't go. But my bet is they will murder again rather than recruit. And I think this time I'm going to stick with Paul. I'm going to say they're going to murder Paul. So if they do murder someone, what are your thoughts? Who do you think they might go for?
Yeah, I'm going to back you on that. And I think if they thought about Paul last night, it's going to be him tonight.
Yes. I don't know. I think he's too popular and everyone likes him. Although someone in this episode did say it was Roja said he was suspicious of Paul, but I think generally he's really likable and he's probably not going to get banished. So murder might be the only
Yeah.
way to get rid of him. We shall see. Now, we have almost reached the end and we have been playing a game between ourselves. Before we finish our game and conclude our own banishment, Mikolai, where can we find you online and how can we find out more about your upcoming podcast?
Okay, so I've got an Instagram account for the podcast. It's called spilling_reality, I think.
Yeah.
And then you can also find my personal account. It's Nikolai Mac. And I post a lot of travel content, although I don't travel a lot, but I do just take a lot of content when I go. So it makes it seem like I've been away for so long. Like I'm still posting now from Belgium, and I went there a month ago.
Yeah, I noticed your Belgium pictures and I thought, oh wow, he's literally just returned. Oh my goodness, he's back from Belgium. But yes, all your pictures look fantastic. It looks like you've been in some really, really cool places. Now,
Thank you.
we've been playing the trader traitor. So we've been trying to lie to one another throughout this episode. I will confess that I lied to you, Nikolai. Did you tell me a lie?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any guesses as to what I lied to you about?
Yeah, I don't know because I didn't watch Australian Traitors season one, but I do think it's with the Shield twist that they do a challenge to like win it. When you said that, I don't think they did that.
Well, I can reveal that not watching Traitors Australia season one has damned you because I was not lying. That was the truth. That really does happen in the
Oh,
Traitors Australia. So there you go. That's true. Yeah, they have a
oh,
separate mission for the to win the shield. They win it in front of everybody. It protects you from murder and banishment. All true, no lies. I'll tell you what my lie was. Um, I snuck it in quite early. I was talking about breakfast, and I said that Roha arrived, and he had a Mean Girls quote. He said, "I'm wearing pink. It's giving Wednesdays. On Wednesdays we wear pink." And then I lied, and I said, "Oh, this is the first Mean Girls quote in the episode." But I said that Roha quotes Mean Girls again more than once, and I made that up. He doesn't ever mention Mean Girls again in the rest of the episode. So that was
oh,
my lie.
that is so subtle. Like I wouldn't have guessed that. That is really good. I'll give you that.
As for your lie, I I made a couple of notes while we were talking, uh, and I think I made a decision about what I want to guess. I think you lied and said something about the Traitors Poland, and you said that one of your neighbors who lived in your street was going to be a cast member. Is that a lie?
Yeah, well done. I really thought I could have had you with that one.
Yeah, I thought it was just maybe too good to be true. I thought, surely not. That would be a huge coincidence. Is it? Did you make up the whole thing? Is there going to be a Traitors Poland?
Yeah, there is. I actually would have
Okay.
applied, but I didn't know. And there isn't a cast announced either yet. But for all I could know, one of my neighbours could be on it.
They could be.
But
Do you
no,
know what? If one of your neighbors ends up being a contestant, then I'll take this back. I'll say that, technically it wasn't a lie. So we'll have to wait and see.
yeah, exactly.
Nikolai, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It was great to have you to talk about episode 3 of The Traitors Australia. Have you had a nice time?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been so fun. It got me distracted from thinking about uni. I'll deal with all of that tomorrow again. But no, I love talking about the show. Like, I just love being that super fan, watching them, talking about them, tweeting, like doing everything about the shows.
Excellent. I relate to that very, very much. And I feel quite guilty. And now I've taken you away from packing and doing really important things. So I'm sorry about
No, it's okay. I
that.
chose to delay that anyway.
I will talk to you again, I'm sure, all about the traitors and keep up with you online. Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Hello, faithful trader listeners. Thank you for joining me for the episode 3 deep dive with my brand new guest co host, Mikolai Michkowiak. How sweet is he? An angel from heaven, and Manchester, and Poland, and Belgium. Before we finish, I'm going to take a moment for something I've never explicitly said before, but maybe I should have. This is my Jerry's final thought. I talk all about every episode of The Traitors. I talk about the contestants. Sometimes I'm critical about features of episodes or of contestants' choices and behaviours and gameplay. It's never personal though. I'm not ripping anyone's characters to shreds or being cruel or nasty about them. The Traitors is a reality show, yes, but a reality show is not real life. Far from it. The Traitors is a game show, the operative word being game. The people taking part have signed up to play with the hopes of winning a prize. This applies to contestants who end up being chosen as faithfuls as well as traitors. The show's aesthetic and script and mechanisms play on the idea of villainy and deception. The words murder and traitor have been chosen for a reason. They have sinister connotations and are designed to make us feel like the people playing traitors are villains. Conversely, the term faithfuls is designed to influence us and see these players as good and pure. Even the term banish suggests the faithfuls are carrying out a worthy and righteous act and ridding the house of evil. None of that's real. These people sign up to a game show, appear on set, and are told to follow instructions. Neither the faithful nor the traitors choose their role, they're assigned them. From that point on, their only alternative to playing along is to quit. Immediately forego all the time and effort it took to get here, all the plans they've made, the rearrangements in their personal lives. It's no surprise that no one does that. The reason I'm saying all this is because I've spotted various ridiculously callous and cruel comments online about some of the players, usually who end up as traitors. I'll reiterate, it is a game. It's not real life. If you are personally furious at a traitor for deceiving a faithful, then you're implying that you'd rather they didn't take part in the role they were given, didn't play the game, and therefore you don't actually want to watch The Traitors. You want a completely different TV programme. Some of these comments are appearing on the podcast's YouTube page. Again, I love talking about the show and its contestants, but I'm not making personal attacks on the players. I don't know them. I only know how they've played a game. Calling a contestant cold, heartless, cruel, saying they have crocodile tears, and that their desire to start a family is a sob story is so unnecessary. One comment referred to Alex from Australia Season 1 as scum and despicable. This person's saying this on the internet for everyone to read, so I'm assuming they can't have any objection to me mentioning it here. By the way, listeners, please don't find this person and retaliate. I think some people forget, and I've said this on the podcast, that the faithful are playing a game too. They're playing the same game. They too want to win money at all costs. They too want to rid other players from the game. Sometimes that involves lying. They too have a mechanism to make other players leave empty-handed. Their aim is the same as the traitors. They've just been assigned different means by which to achieve it. So it's hypocritical to say vicious things about a traitor murdering a faithful, but to then praise faithfuls for banishing a traitor. They are essentially doing the same thing as one another. In conclusion, it's TV, don't be an asshole. P.S. Every one of the contestants, including the traitors I've spoken to from the Aussie, UK and US seasons, has been nothing but friendly, open to conversation, great fun, so generous with their time, and not just when I've pressed the record button. Anyway, you can keep up to date with the podcast and Traitors updates on Instagram at the Traidar Podcast or on X at the Traidar Pod, or you can email me at thetraidarpodcast@gmail.com. You can also help me keep the podcast even existing by visiting coffee.com/Matthew Keeley. The link is in the description for the episode, and you could make a teeny weeny donation, or a hefty one if you like. It's a one-off gift, not a subscription or anything like that. Episode 4 will be with you in less than a week. So until then, thanks so much for listening, especially to my diatribe, and stay faithful.